Hey everybody, welcome back to another Deck Profile Friday. This one here, we're going to be going on the unconventional route, as we're not going to cover something that's current meta right now. Obviously, with the new format, the big decks are Gardevoir, Lost Box, Mew still up there, right? And obviously Miraidon and Goodra, are having a showing, right? All those decks are, top tier. Oh, and obviously Lugia as well. How could we forget Lugia, right? And, I wanted to cover a deck that, was very popular when it first came out, and it's still very popular amongst newer players in the Pokemon TCG. And it's a very popular competitive deck. I do think it actually can do pretty well, but you just gotta have the right build, right? And there's so many different ways to build it, but it still does the same thing, which is obviously attack with the main Pokemon of the deck. And the deck that I'm talking about is Hisuian Zoroark VStar. And this card here, this is honestly, it's a fantastic card. Overall, I think this deck can pretty much, grind in pretty much every meta, right? You're capable of doing lots of damage, and for relatively cheap, even with a double turbo energy, right? You can still, hit for high enough numbers where you're able to get knockouts on V stars, right? You can take it that much more further and potentially knock out V maxes, right? So we're going to kind of cover that here. And without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. To start, we have 4 Hisuian Zoroark VStar and 4 Hisuian Zoroark V, right? You need to be playing 4 of each. It's mandatory, right? No ifs, ands, or buts. It is super important because this is the main attacker of the deck. You're only going to be attacking with this, right? The Zoroark V there, colorless, 210 HP, 2 retreat, no resistance, weakness to fighting. That's not a terrible weakness to have right now. The big fighting decks that are, or fighting Pokemon that are being played is Rapid Strike Urshifu, right? Which is not even that popular of a deck. And then Single Strike Stonjourner, right? That's the other main fighting Pokemon. And then here and there, Galarian Zapdos V, right? Which is very, very minor, but it's still fairly, it's alright. It's a decent attack. It just doesn't really have a whole lot of use right now, as Miraidon isn't really the dominant deck. Its first attack there, called Void Return, that does 30, and then you can switch it with one of your bench Pokemon, which is cool. And then that's energyless, and then its second attack for 3 colorless, it does 130, and then you can move an energy card from this Pokemon to one of your benched Pokemon. Pretty cool. But it's mainly there to evolve into the V-Star, which has 270 HP, 2 retreat, no resistance and weakness to fighting, the same thing as the V. And then its attack there, called Ticking Curse, it does 50 damage times the number of each of your Pokemon in play that have any damage counters on it, which also includes itself, right? So if you have 6 Pokemon in play that have damage counters, it would do 300 damage, which is huge. And then its ability there, its V-Star Power, Phantom Star. This is awesome. It's a built-in Professor's Research, which is really, really good. The the thing about this deck compared, like right now in this current format being battle styles on, compared to the last format, right, with Sword and Shield on, is you could use Crobat with it. And, with Crobat and this, power, and then, your supporter for the turn, right, you're able to just draw that much more cards, And you don't have to invest like a ton of bench space into Pokemon like Bibarel or whatever to do it. So, pretty good. Awesome Pokemon. Now, onto the support Pokemon of the deck. That is the main attacker. That is the only attacker. Everything else, every other Pokemon is built around that. And to go with it, we got 3 Gengar, right, which is there for its Netherworld Gate ability. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in your discard pile, you may put it onto your bench, and if you do, put 3 damage counters on it. So this Gengar and Zoroark were literally made together. Like, they're our perfect pair. We have a 2-2 Bibarel line. Right, we play the Bidoof from Crown Zenith, which prevents all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks, meaning your opponent cannot snipe it with Moonlight Shuriken on Radiant Greninja, which is really cool. And then Bibarel is obviously there for its Industrious Incisors, draw till you have 5 cards in your hand, just to make it more consistent. Next, we have one of the best Pokemon in the game right now, right? I absolutely love this card. It hits so many different matchups. It's extremely underrated. I wish it was used a lot more than what it is. And that is Klefki. Right? We play a pair. And the reason why is for its Mischievous Lock. As long as it's in the active spots, basic Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's, have no abilities except Mischievous Lock. So this is crazy because it shuts down Genesect V's Fusion Strike system. It shuts down Miraidon EX's Tandem Unit. It shuts down Radiant Greninja's Concealed Cards. Comfey's Flower Selecting, right? It hits so many... Even Lumineon's Luminous Sign. It hits so many things right now that this card is like, it's absolutely nuts. And then its attack there, which is actually pretty cool. Joust does 10. Before doing damage, discard all Pokemon tools from your opponent's active Pokemon. So this is great at getting rid of those choice belts or defiance bands or anything that's kind of a nuisance. I think there's a lot of those, like the chest plate Pokemon tools that are going to be played, right? So this gets rid of them. Next, we have a Lumineon V, right? We got to find a card to replace the Crobat in the deck, and this is the best card, right? Fetches our supporter, which is awesome. A Radiant Hawlucha, right? An extra 30 damage to Pokemon VMAXs. So obviously Mew VMAX is being played right now. Very popular. And then Regieleki VMAX is very popular. As well as it hits some things on like the lower end. Like, I don't know, like Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX, Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX, those that are not really being played as much. Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, Single Strike Urshifu VMAX, Single Strike Umbreon VMAX, right? It does hit those, which is pretty good too, so. And then lastly, to protect our bench, we obviously have the Manaphy. Pretty cool card, right? Especially when you're using, damage pump to move damage counters everywhere. That Greninja is going to become more live than ever. So it's pretty good to just play it. There we go. And that is the Pokemon of the deck, right? So pretty standard. What's it called? The Klefki here, right? If you want, you can switch this for Deontay from Astral Radiance, which pretty much makes it that so your opponent can't use boss's orders. But I do feel Klefki is way more valuable than that. So, all right, trainers, supporters, stadiums. And like I've said in my previous videos, the best supporter in the game is Professor's Research. Discard and draw 7. You know, we've had this card since pretty much Black and White. 2 boss's orders, right? To knock out what you want to knock out. Avery. Another very underrated and extremely good card right now. Draw 3 cards, and then if you draw any cards this way, your opponent discards Pokemon from their bench until they have 3 Pokemon on their bench. This is absolutely nuts. Mew likes to play with full benches. Miraidon likes to play with full benches. Guardy likes to play with full benches. Heck, even Lost Zone likes to play with full benches. They can probably manage without a full bench, but still, it's crazy, crazy good. Lots of decks right now are playing full benches, right? So if you're a Palkia player, or if you're using any of the legendary, beasts, right? Raikou, Entei, Suicune, right? Those are really good right now. A Judge, some Shuffle Draw, a Roxanne, right? If we're behind, a Serena, our 3rd boss's orders, but also some draw at the same time. And then our stadiums, 3 Gapejaw Bog. Now, this was kind of questionable with 3, right? Most would say play 4. However, I'm kind of trying out with 3 because the other stadium that I have in here I feel is as equally good and as important. Sure, getting the damage on your Pokemon in play with Gapejaw Bog is cool, but what else is cool is being able to shut down your opponent with Path to the Peak. Yes, this is 5 stadiums, right? And like like it's been mentioned before, but Path Marnie wins games. In this case, Path Judge or Path Roxanne, right? And Path just shuts down so many, just so much Pokemon right now. Path and Klefki in play, like it just makes it really hard for your opponent to even do anything. So, and that is the supporters and the stadiums, right? And next we have our actual trainer cards, right? It's our actual trainer cards. I really like this lineup just because I feel like it's super consistent and there's a lot of search. To start, is not a search card, but it is a damage pump, right? To obviously move damage counters around our board, which is what we need to feel taking curse on Hisuian Zoroark VStar. 4 Nest Ball, the first of our consistency search cards, I guess. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon, put it onto your bench. Pretty cool. Ultra Ball, another really good one, right? Discard 2 cards, search your deck for any Pokemon, basic, evolution, whatever, right? So the discarding, this is really good at getting rid of crap in your hand and putting those Gengars in the discard pile, which is another really huge thing. Serena does that as well. triple choice belt, right? This card, I think, is a great card right now, right? I think 3 is absolutely perfect. I was playing 3 in my last list for the last format, right? It just hits so many things, right? That taking curse with a double turbo and 6 Pokemon in play that are damaged, right? You're hitting 280. And then when you throw on a choice belt, you're hitting that 310, and 310 hits so much. Right now, it hits Mew VMAX for perfect damage. It hits Regieleki VMAX for perfect damage, right? Pretty cool. 2 Great Ball, right? So this is an interesting take here. I don't feel it's terrible. A card that you could put in here is Capturing Aroma, flip a coin if heads. Search your deck for any Pokemon. If tails, search your deck for a basic. Right? You can do either or on that. And then this one here just has the restriction of the top 7. An Energy Loto to dig out your energies. And a switch. Right? So switch, you can keep it as a switch or make it as an escape rope, either or. And it don't really matter. And that is it for the trainer cards. So now we have the energy cards, right? The energy cards are pretty cool. We do have 4 double turbo energy and then 3 V-Guard energy. Just makes sense. You know, we don't need to play a basic energy unless we're trying to search it or use like a supporter or stadium that has to deal with that type of energy. So I'm talking like Melanie or Magma Basin, right? You know those, you have the fire and water versions of Hisuian Zoroark. This is just strictly the colorless version. So these here are the 2 best energies for Hisuian Zoroark VStar because it's a colorless Pokemon. Double Turbo provides 2, but you do 20 less damage. And then V-Guard Energy does 30 less damage to it from a Pokemon V that it's attached to. So, pretty cool. I don't believe it's stackable either. So, but there you go, everybody. That is Hisuian Zoroark VStar. That is the updated list, my updated list. Right, so I hope you all enjoyed that. Matchups wise, I don't know. I need to test it more. I would think right off the bat, you know, if you can set up well, probably a 50-50 matchup. Right, Gardevoir might be a little bit of a hard time because you're easily one-shottable and you can't. You can one-shot them like they're low HP Pokemon, but a Gardevoir EX might have a little bit of a hard time to one-shot. Right, Mew, obviously, you know, hitting that 310 barrier. Right. And I guess actually Gardevoir does have, the EX does have 310 HP. So, but the thing is too is that you can't really, choice belt doesn't apply. So one thing that you could do is maybe just swap out 1 for a Defiance Bound. Right, and then that way you can one-shot the Gardevoir EX. So that's an option, but yeah, Mew VMAX, you know, you can, you know, easily hit that 310. Miraidon, you know, you knock out the Miraidon pretty easily. The Regieleki VMAX is 310, so you can do the same thing. Lugia, you know, Lugia, you can pretty much one-shot him. You don't need a choice belt or anything. You just need, you know, 6 damaged Pokemon in play or 5 with a choice belt. Actually, no, 6 with you still need the 6. Yeah, even with the choice belt. So, yeah, so 6, which will get that knockout. Trying to figure out what else. Lost Box is going to be kind of annoying just because of the Sableye, right, and the Cramorant. being able to knock out, your Pokemon with relatively ease. Zoroark, as well, is kind of in the range of those, those V Pokemon that can deal some high damage. The Raikou, right? Raikou pretty much do a lot of work in that. The Dragonite, he is like 20 damage short of knocking you out, right? It's crazy. If they Hawlucha you, and then they can just knock it out, assuming you have 1 damage counter on Zoroark. I don't know. It's an interesting deck right now, but yeah, there you go, everybody. Let me know what you think, and obviously hit that like button, subscribe button, all that fun stuff. This is Deck Profile Friday. Don't forget to check out Opening Sundays, and there will be a new video this upcoming Wednesday as well, and then obviously next week's Deck Profile Friday. But yeah, there you go, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and once again, see you in the next video.